Hey everybody, welcome back to Roots and Rights, Securing Tomorrow. I'm attorney Greg Robinson, your host, and today we're getting into a topic I see time and again, heirs property. If you caught our last episode on estate planning essentials, you'll remember that I mentioned heirs property as one of those real-world issues that can derail even the most loving family's plans. So, let's slow down and break it down step by step. So what exactly is heirs property? At its simplest, it's land or a home that's been passed down through a family, usually over several generations, without a clear, updated title. I see this all the time, especially in African American communities and rural southern states like my home state of Alabama. The thing is, when someone dies without a will, their property doesn't just disappear. It gets chopped up between all the legal heirs and everyone owns a slice. But nobody has that rock-solid, court-recognized deed in their hand. Now, why is this such a big deal? Well, when you've got tangled ownership, you get what I call the 3 H's. Headache, hassle, and unfortunately, sometimes heartbreak. It's tough to sell, borrow against, or even fix up the land. You end up vulnerable. Sometimes all it takes is one cousin who wants out, or a developer eyeing the property, and suddenly there's a partition sale, and the whole family can lose what grandma and grandpa built. And let's not even talk about the cost and time of probate court if things go sideways. Those battles can drag on for years and rack up big legal fees. Let me give you a real example. I worked with a family in Alabama, 3 generations deep. They had about 80 acres, land that meant the world to them. But nobody ever drew up a will, and after a couple family members passed, we had close to 20 cousins, scattered across the country, all with a legal stake. Paperwork from the 1950s, no clear title, and, this is typical, no one could agree on what to do. And even when everyone wants the best for the family, emotions run high. You could see the frustration turn into grief all over again. That's the kind of tangle we're talking about. And that brings us right into the next layer, people. Family dynamics are like, I want to say a puzzle, but really, sometimes it's more like a chess match. We all have our own perspectives. I've seen distance, cousins who haven't talked in 15 years, suddenly needing to collaborate on a piece of land that nobody actually lives on. Other times, there's disagreement. Maybe some family members want to hang on for history's sake. Others eye a quick payout. Then you throw in differing financial goals and, well, that's when things get really tricky. There's a powerful example from the Hilton Head Gullah community. These families have held on to land since right after emancipation, land that tells a story. But as property values shot up, you had outside pressure colliding with relatives who just couldn't see eye to eye. Some wanted to protect the heritage, some needed the money for their own families. And with each generation, the number of stakeholders keeps growing. The struggle to preserve land with so many conflicting voices is real. A cautionary tale that I hope more folks listen to. One of my clients, let's call him Marcus, a young guy just trying to do right by his late grandmother, was knocking on doors, calling cousins he barely knew, all to have those tough conversations about land use. He was nervous, and honestly, so were they. But sometimes, it's not just about the legal paperwork. It's about choosing empathy, leading with understanding. I told him, sure, I can draw up documents and explain partition laws all day long. But if you come at folks with a spirit of collaboration rather than accusation, everything changes. Those soft skills, that patience, that's what can turn a family dispute into a family success. So if you're listening today and nodding along, wondering what you can do to avoid these headaches, let's talk solutions. Legal remedies are out there, but you've got to be proactive. First up, The simplest is establishing a clear title. Usually, you can go through the probate process and actually get everyone's name straightened out on paper. If you've already got multiple family members involved, sometimes forming a family LLC is the answer. Why? Because it gives the group one legal face, which can help with taxes, loans, decision-making, you name it. There's also something called the Uniform Partition of Heirs Property Act, the UPHPA, which is gaining ground in southern states. This law makes it a little bit harder for outsiders to force a sale without family agreement, and, honestly, it gives heirs more tools to preserve their property if everyone can't agree. But legal tools are just part of it. I always tell families, set up regular meetings, even if it's on Zoom. Document what's agreed upon with simple written contracts. And if things get heated, try mediation before jumping to litigation. You'd be amazed what folks can solve when you just get everybody in the same room, or at least the same video call. I remember working with a family, 4 siblings, all grown with their own lives. The eldest took charge. We built a trust, and together they created rules for land use and distribution. A couple years later, a land speculator came knocking. But because they had their act together, clear leadership, and one strong legal structure, they could say, no thanks, and keep that land right where Grandma left it. That's the kind of legacy we're trying to protect. Well, folks, that's it for this episode. If there's one thing I hope you take from today, it's that clarity and communication now is what keeps families together later. Next time, we'll get deeper into practical strategies to build out your own legacy plan, so stay tuned. Until then, keep your roots strong and your rights secure.